Hi guys, and welcome back to episode 2 of my Works and Resources Soviet Republic guide series. So in the last episode we got this tiny town set up and we've covered now the village's basic needs. We've got a school, a kindergarten, a shopping centre which just needs some resources but it's almost ready to go. We've got some basic sporting facilities, we've got a cinema for entertainment, and we've got power which we're importing. In this episode, I'm going to cover getting the basic manufacturing jobs up so we can get something for these people to do. I'm going to set up distribution just on a small scale so we can supply this shopping centre. Because as I've already said, we're not playing in the hardcore, well, I'm not teaching you in the hardcore mode of delivering lots of resources to actually build buildings from scratch. I can cover a series on that another time if you guys are interested. So we won't need much distribution, but we'll just need a few trucks. And then finally, I'm going to get some bus stops and bus routes set up so we can transport workers to our new industrial area. So, while I've been in an intermediate period between these videos, I've got this building done, which is the road vehicle depot. If you come to infrastructure, roads, it's this building here, and this is the building where we purchase all our vehicles that we need to run our own tasks. So we'll buy our buses from here, our trucks, all of that. So I've also built this small distribution office, but I don't think we'll need that just yet. I bought some trucks and I'm transporting the trucks to the depot. We go there now, all transporting, and I've bought one refrigeration truck and then 2 dry bulk trucks. Sorry, no, covered road vehicles. What I'm going to do with these trucks is I'm going to pick up food, meat and clothes from the border and then drop it in this road cargo station where it's going to then enter the shopping centre for our villagers to buy. So, I'm going to get that done now, but I'm not going to speed this bit up, this is quite important. So, we're now going to teach you about the lines. So lines are a little bit complicated, but you'll get the hang of them. So you click new stop. We're going to start off by clicking on the customs building. Wait until loaded, and the only thing the refrigeration truck can run is meat. Then we're going to click on the road cargo station. And this is very important. Wait until unloaded. What that means is it's going to arrive and it will not leave this place until all of its stock has entered the shopping centre, at which point it will drive back and come back. So the reason I'm not setting up a warehouse to store all our food in is because we're so close to the border that I don't think it's worth the time. So with that route done, we're now going to click launch and this truck will now be on its way to doing that. And then I'm just going to speed forward as I do the same for these two. Okay, so I've set these vehicles up. I've set them up with the clothes, food and meat. So they're going to go and do that now. I have unchecked all these. We're no longer buying in the meat and all of them there. So now these trucks will actually have a purpose. And I've also placed this gas station. And I'm going to do the same here. I'm checking all the fuel. So no longer auto purchase stuff. And in the small distribution office, I've purchased a fuel tanker. I'm going to do the same thing where I want this to be filled up. But the difference between the distribution office and the warehouse is the vehicle depot, we manually set up the routes. In the distribution office, you actually set up what your objectives are, and the trucks will do their best to fulfill that. So if we set here, add new connection, and we're going to say load fuel, and here unload fuel, and I want it at, let's say, 50%. We don't need it at full, it's at the fuel station. What this truck's now going to do is pick up fuel here and fill this building to 50%. This is similar to what we did here, but on a large scale. We may assign 15 buildings for this fuel station, this depot to manage this distribution office. So this actually can deal with more complex tasks, and we can buy more and more trucks of different objectives. So we can have covered trucks, dumpers, fuel trucks, everything. But at the moment we only need one fuel truck, and that's going to simply be to drop off the fuel here. What I'm now going to do before I move on to the next thing is all these buildings we've got, I'm just going to restrict the staff I'd say about 10 people in the shopping facility. The kindergarten, 5 people. Cinema, 3. Just because we really don't need, while this place is quite small, we don't need that many people. Well, actually saying that, we do more staff here. We don't need these jobs full, so we can up them when we get more people. So I've now connected the cinema up, and you can see with the paths all set up, this cinema covers all the buildings very well. So now everybody's got access to all the buildings that we need. So now we've got the distribution set up for our basic needs, which is the food centre and the gas station. So I'm now going to move on to getting the manufacturing goods set up. And I'm actually going to start with the food manufacturing. I'm not going to build a farm just yet. I'm going to cover that in another episode. But I am going to get food factory and a distillery up. So I'm going to get that all constructed, and I'll explain what I've done in a second. Okay, so here we go, guys. So what I've done is I've set, while placing these buildings, which is the food and crops related buildings, I unticked auto build, meaning that when I place the buildings, if I wasn't happy with them, I could unpause the game and delete them without them building and wasting me money. So I've laid it out like this. I've got the farm building here, which I'm not going to build just yet. I don't want that in place just yet. But I have got the food factory and the distillery here. So what I've done is I am going to actually quickly construct these. And I'm going to construct them with dollars, because we've got all these dollars and we're not spending them on anything. So I might as well use them. I'm just clicking on everything just to make sure it's all going to get built. And if we unpause now, that's all going to be auto built. Okay, great. So I'll explain what I've done, just so you guys aren't lost. So what I've got here is I have the distillery and the food factory. So the distillery turns crops into alcohol, and the food factory turns crops into food. This warehouse building is connected to a silo, the food factory, the distillery, and a road cargo station. So these connections, as you can see with the arrows, mean goods can flow both ways. And so what this warehouse can do is it can take in crops, as you can see it would take in crops from our farm, which is connected to the silo, which stores crops. So crops will flow from the silo into the warehouse. The warehouse can then distribute crops into both these buildings, which will then turn the crops into food and alcohol. The food and alcohol will then be transported by these lines back into the warehouse. You can see alcohol and food. And trucks will come to this cargo station here, where the food and alcohol will be delivered here, and we can send the trucks to sell it at the customs house. So this is a simple little production line, but you can get the idea of this is how the manufacturing lines look in working resources, or at least this is one way they can. This is how I like to set them up. Everything linked up, because these nice clean lines mean that the goods will automatically be moved. You may have to get into forklifts and all that other stuff if you don't set it up nice and clean like this, and it also keeps down the space. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna send trucks to pick up crops, which they're going to drop off at the grain storage, and then that's going to then turn into alcohol and food, which we can sell. I've also importantly set up a bus stop here, and I'm going to connect up some paths so people can arrive at this bus stop and walk to these buildings. These buildings over here don't need workers, so the farm works as a hub where you buy farming equipment, but actually the food and the workers are needed on the fields. As you can see, there's different fields here, so we don't need to worry about the farm not being in reach. So I'm just going to do that now with some footpaths. So here we go. What I'm going to do now, guys, is I'm going to, so this actually has 2 storage spaces here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy, if we go to covered hole. Yeah, covered hole can transport crops. 5.6. Well, this one can go transport 10 tons of crops. So I'm going to buy 3 covered holes. I'm going to pick up crops from the customs house, and then I'm now going to add new connection at the grain silo, where it's going to be unload crops, and we want to fill this up to, let's say, about 70%. We always want it well filled. So now these trucks are going to go and fill this up. Workers should then, you can see no resources, so the workers are arriving, they just don't have the resources. So the 3 trucks, there could be more, but as you can see, there's only 2 spaces here for the trucks to arrive, so any more may have long queues. But they're going to take these crops, which we can then turn into goods to sell here. So speaking of that, I'm now going to buy 2 trucks, one for alcohol and one for food, which are going to pick it up from here and sell at the border. You can see here though, this food factory is actually in range of all the buildings, so they don't even need a bus stop. But this distillery isn't, so a bus line will be important. So while I've got those trucks there, I am going to now get up a bus line. So we come here to the depot, bus, and I'm just going to buy the biggest one. Probably isn't necessary, but might as well. We've got 10 million. So again with the lines, I'm going to click here as our starting line, load and unload, and load and unload here. So in Works and Resources, the bus lines are a bit iffy, and I'd only ever recommend really having 1-to-1 lines. So they pick up from here and they drop off from here, or they pick up from here and drop off to a bus stop here. Because if you have multiple stations, you may find that without really micromanaging tweaking of unloading and loading and what you unload and load, the workers won't arrive in the right places. Did they pick up anyone? They didn't pick up. So nobody is actually waiting at the bus stop. No workers anyway, because they can all actually reach this area. But when we build more houses, let's say houses up here that can reach the bus stop but can't reach over here, this bus stop will be useful. So we can see this building is now filling with crops. Crops are slowly moving. We can see we've already made some alcohol there. We've made some food there. And we've actually got some in storage. What I also forgot to mention is down here I've built an electric substation to cover these buildings over here because they were out of reach of the power. So you can see once you reach a certain amount, about 5%, the crops flow into the warehouse. As you can see here, they flow in and then they get used up. And you can see food and alcohol is reaching. So there is a little bit of residue in here, but they are working and these buildings are producing stuff. So if we were really worried about cash and you were playing this on a harder mode, and I'm just giving you the idea, I'm not going to do it as I think you guys will understand, but now we're making our own food. Instead of buying it from the border, we could actually tell the trucks to pick it up from here and deliver that. But I don't feel the need to do this. This is just a short tutorial series and we've got 10 million bucks. But that is just something you will need to have a think about of actually once you start producing goods yourself to make sure you pick it up and don't buy it from the border. But we are going to sell to the border now. So go to new stock. Wait until loaded. We're going to pick up food. We're going to wait until unloaded and sell food. And I'm going to do the same with alcohol. So alcohol is a need you can fulfill. You can build pubs and fulfill that need, but it's not a necessity need at all. And I just don't think it's worth it really, because the people don't really moan too much, and it's better just to sell the alcohol. So we're not going to be building any pubs. I'm just going to directly sell this alcohol at the border. So we're going to load alcohol. Oh no, wrong one. So actually, once you've done one the wrong way, click delete stop up here. So customs house, wait until unloaded, alcohol, and then start. So guys, that is the end of episode 2. We have set up the distribution, so now our gas station gets fuel, our small shopping centre gets food. We've also set up a bus route. It's not necessary, but it's just so you guys understand the bus route and how that works. And finally, we set up our manufacturing area with the road cargo station, sorry, to pick up goods, the warehouse to distribute all the goods, and the distillery and the food factory to create goods, which we're going to sell on the market. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed the episode and found it useful. If you did, could you please give it a like? I'd really appreciate that. And subscribe to the channel if you are interested in seeing more working resources content, because that way I understand that the subscribers are coming from these videos and you guys are liking it. If you've got any comments you want to make, good or bad, or any questions, please leave them down below. I'd love to read them. And that's all guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.